A brand personality that sells. So the goal of this workshop is to learn more about brand personalities and why they are so important to lead generation. So here's what we will cover: how to build a brand that will give you credibility, how to understand which brand archetype your business fits into and your company values, and how to understand brand psychology, and how to understand brand color psychology. How to build a brand that will give you credibility. So a lot of people think a brand is just a logo, a company name, and a certain look and feel, but a brand goes much deeper than this. A brand will evoke a specific emotion, and what a logo will do is create recognition. So let me ask you this one question. When somebody looks at your brand, how do you want them to feel? In this workshop, I'm going to talk to you about brand psychology, brand archetypes, and also color psychology, amongst a few other important areas. So what is a brand archetype? A brand archetype is almost like a genre that you would assign to a brand. It's given a brand a character and given it more of a human feel so that you can associate with your brand, and so can your prospects. Without an archetype, your company has no real personality. So what we do when we create an archetype is we give it a human-like personality that you can share with team members, or even when you pitch to investors. What it does is it allows more of an understanding of who your company are, your company values, and what it is you're trying to achieve through the brand. There are 12 main archetypes in total, and they fall under 4 main categories. So if you can look at the image here on the right-hand side, we've got the 4 main categories of brand archetypes. So we've got those that fit into exploring more spirituality, which is the innocent, sage, and the explorer. We've got the archetypes that want to leave more of a legacy, which are the outlaw, the magician, and the hero. And we've got the archetypes that want to pursue connections with people. So they're the everyman, the jester, and the lover. And then we've got others that provide more of a structure. So they're the creators, the rulers, or the caregivers. So your brand will fit into one of these archetypes. And when you can actually define which archetype your brand fits into, you can start to learn how to speak to your audience better, what colors work better for this, what other brands are very similar to your particular type of brand too, and it can help give you a little bit of direction. So if your business could fit into one of these 4 main categories, which would it be? So let's have a look. Which archetype are you? What we are going to do today is to understand which brand archetype your business fits into and to discover the values your company has. So every decision that you make within your company will reflect back to this brand archetype. So what we want to ensure is that the decisions you make align with what you're trying to achieve and who you really are. So anyone that you hire to work with you should also fit under the same traits as your brand archetype. Any presentations that you do, any events, any marketing material, social media posts should all reflect your brand archetype. So your look and feel also will fit under your archetype, but the look and feel is just a really small part of it. Really connecting with your audience is the really key element here. So what I want you to do, you can pause this right now. You can head over to brandpersonalityquiz.com before we move any further to discover your brand personality. And it will ask you a series of questions that you will complete, and it will give you some direction. Now, some people may have one specific brand personality, and some maybe have 2 or even sometimes 3 that might possibly overlap. But what you'll need to do from there is create a really clear picture of who you are, how you speak to people, the language, your values, and so forth. So I'm just going to cover one personality archetype and go into a little bit of detail. So let's look at the sage archetype. So the archetype is naturally intelligent, knowledgeable, and reflective. So these are brands like Google, BBC, University of Oxford. These would all fit under the Sage Archetype brand. So their desire is always to find the truth in everything. And their goal is to use intelligence and analysis to understand the world, and they constantly seek out more information and knowledge. This particular archetype likes to make sense of things and can study details forever and sometimes never act. So when we learn about archetypes, we learn about our strengths and we also learn about our weaknesses too. So having really good knowledge of that can show us where we should be heading towards and what things we need to look out for. So we want to gain an understanding. So as I've just said, when we actually understand our brand personality in more detail, this enables us to look at opportunities of where we can improve and advise us where not to get bogged down. So if we continue looking at the Sage Archetype, this brand would be perfect for you, and it may be relevant if you provide expertise or information to others. Or if you're trying to encourage customers how to think and your main business is built upon scientific findings or research-based facts. This archetype might be for you if you're trying to help other people understand the world better and provide practical information and analysis to them. The brand voice of Sage Archetype is one of sophistication and extensive vocabulary, and these people love to solve problems and come up with solutions. Sage Archetype brand is actually very analytical. So as I said before, they like to really make sense of things. A great example of Sage Archetype is Audi and another TED Talks. So Audi like to educate their customers on their expertise to go through the history of the vehicles, and they historically highlight the parents of each Audi car. TED Talks love to help businesses learn and nurture them, providing information and insight to motivate and inspire. So this is another Sage Archetype. So as you can see, the brands you would think are very different, but at their core, their values and what they're trying to get across all fit under this archetype. So your homework is, if you haven't already, discover what your brand archetype is to learn more about how to brand your business. Learn how your archetype talk to customers and the language you can use. This is so important because when we're actually trying to generate leads, one of the most important and crucial things that we need to be able to do is to be able to talk and entice our customers. So knowing your brand archetype is going to allow you to put that foot forward and actually start to generate more leads. Just one of the things that is going to really help.